1-800-449-8255. You're on the Clark the Shark show out there. All of you. Right now, you are being ruled by the mind of the Sharky. Popular on Earth, the solar system, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, Neptune, but especially Uranus. Right here on the Clark the Shark show from the golden EIB Sharkerphone, the Wolfman Jack on crack. And I'm coming to you, maybe not live, but I'm coming to you people from Los Angeles, California, one day long ago on May 15th, 2023, where I am going to give you the Sharky breakdown of this debut album that is so misunderstood and, let's be honest, misreviewed. The critics are missing the point. So are the fans. They've got this album all pegged wrong here. The 1967 album by David Bowie. Now, there's a lot of people that are like, Sharky, these songs are so silly, Nobody likes them. But I'm like, me, Sharky, I'm silly. Nobody likes me either. And all of a sudden, Sharky is sick with something. I'm throwing up all the time. And all I got is skin cancer, you guys. There's big rumors that I'm dying. I hope I'm not dying, or maybe I am dying. But people are emailing me or talking about me. They're like, we all love Sharky. I'm like, well, no, you don't. Nobody calls me or emailed me or gave a flying shit about me till I got cancer or, So what I don't want is for people in the South Bay, Torrance, Redondo Beach, Palos Verdes, Hermosa Beach. I don't want you all celebrating the life of Shark, because none of you do and none of you ever did. Or maybe you did a little. I remember a phase like, 1989 when I was 24 through 1991. And everyone was like, oh, Sharky's about to get signed. He's real talented. He writes songs. So let's all hang out with Shark over at 251. I mean, I don't remember a lot of people hanging out with me, before that. I'm sure there were some, but I always have to adjust my Shark to meet your standards. I mean, you guys don't really adjust for Sharky. You see what I know what I'm saying. Maybe you don't, or maybe you do. But it's kind of like this David Bowie album here. This album is funny. It's irreverent. It's comical, kind of like a Sharky, and it's a parody. It's an inside joke, and yet it's not. And before this album, David Bowie was rocking. He was, he had that song, Can't Help Thinking About Me, that is such a fucking killer song that I love. And he had a lot of rocking shit. But then all of a sudden on this album on Darum Records, David Bowie gets all silly and comical. But even that is really good, the fact that Bowie was doing that. He is, as best that he can, he is avoiding psychedelia, much like the Kinks, Ray Davies and Dave Davies did in 1967 with Something Else. David Bowie is actually mocking and making fun of psychedelia on this album. He knew it for what it really was. It was a bunch of fucking nonsense. A bunch of people on acid, and Frank Zappa knew that too. Now, me, Clark the Shark, I look back at psychedelia and I love it because, I want to just remember the 60s. And for some reason, I just have this romance. Like, I was 2 years old in 1967. And I swear to God, you guys, I was alive on the planet Earth during psychedelia. It was so amazing. But when I think about psychedelia, I think about the Who, at Monterey Pop. I think about the Jefferson Airplane, Country Joe and the Fish. It's sad that I can't think of David Bowie along those lines, but David Bowie on this album here, he very much had something interesting going on, you guys. And, all the critical darlings and the David Bowie experts, everyone who loves the Berlin Trilogy and all those 70s Bowie, they always say, oh, that first Bowie album is so lame. And me, Clark the Shark, I'm like, you're fucking lame. You probably haven't even listened to the album. You don't even give it a chance. You don't even know the songs. And you just fucking say it's lame because you're stupid and you just parrot, like a bird, everything you've heard right here on the Clark the Shark Show from the golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, you guys, at 1-800-449-8255. It's the fabulous Clark the Shark Show. And if you want an accurate review, you're going to get it from me. And nobody knows David Bowie like Clark the Shark. You can go to the South Bay, Redondo, Torrance, San Pedro, Hermosa Beach, Palos Verdes, Lomita, and they'll all say, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Nobody knows David Bowie quite like Clark the Shark Higgins of the Greenhouse Effect, baby. And it's true. It's no joke. And you guys know there's zero bullshit ever coming out of me, Clark the Shark. Even when I lie, it's fucking true lies, baby, at 1-800-449-8255 on the Clark the Shark Show. So let's break down this shitty album here, I mean, look at this guy. I mean, if he had something to do with it, maybe it did suck. I don't know, but that he is. There he is, the genius. And look at these reviews, 1 and 2 stars. Fuck these critics. You guys are dumbasses. You probably gave Frank Zappa a 1 and 2 review too, you fucking douchebags. 1-800-449-8255. Don't listen to these critics. You listen to Clark the Shark. And admittedly, Uncle Arthur, side 1, is a silly, retarded song. But me, Clark the Shark, I like it, because it's funny. It's just retarded. And David Bowie was trying to be, like Frank Zappa. He was trying to be, I don't know, maybe like the Monkees or just something silly on this album. And Sell Me a Coat, too, very silly. These first 2 songs, retarded. And Rubber Band, a little better. But the first 3 songs are troublesome on this album. But me, Clark the Shark, I like the funny, irreverent, goofball, Howard Stern nonsense. And me, Clark the Shark, I'm going to love it. Now, Love You Till Tuesday. This is a David Bowie classic. This song is really great, you guys. And, you know it is. Don't talk shit about Love You Till Tuesday. That's a fucking awesome song. And There Is a Happy Land. I love that song because it reminds me of me, Clark the Shark, in my travels on this earth, where I'm like, there is a happy land somewhere for Sharky. I just got to get away from all you douchebags at 1-800-449-8255. And We Are Hungry Men. Oh, I love that song, you guys. Good song, good shit. Classic David Bowie. And When I Live My Dream is just amazing. That should have been a hit single. I mean, all 322 of When I Live My Dream. I love that song. I see Clark the Shark in that song too, you guys. It's a beautiful song. And almost sounds like, just call me Angel of the Morning, baby. Just call me Sharky. I love When I Live My Dream. What a beautiful, amazing song. So side 1, 4 of these 7 songs are good. And the first 3 songs ain't bad, you guys. It's a little trivial, a little funny, a little silly. but that's Bowie. Sometimes, he's funny. Now, of course, side two, Little Bombardier, one of the greatest David Bowie songs. You guys listen to Little Bombardier, in 3/4 or 6/8 time, and you know me, Clark the Shark. I love 3/4 and 6/8. As a drummer, I love that time signature, and Little Bombardier is just a beautiful song. One of the greatest and one of the best David Bowie songs ever recorded. And I'm going to venture it further, you guys, and say Little Bombardier is one of the greatest songs in rock music ever recorded. I love that song. And Silly Boy Blue, another amazing song, you guys. All 436 of Silly Boy Blue. This song is serious. It ain't messing around, you guys. Silly Boy Blue. Oh, killer. One of the best David Bowie songs. And, Come and Buy My Toys. Once again, here comes Bowie being silly and funny again. But, I like it. I like the irreverent, funny silliness, I wish Frank Zappa could have been this funny and this silly as this David Bowie album. I really do. And I wish other bands could have been funny, silly, and just fucking retarded like this album. Because it's a classic. I love this album, you guys. And Join the Gang, of course, where Bowie's making fun of psychedelia. I mean, sort of like the way Frank Zappa does. It's a killer song, man. I love Join the Gang. I want you to buy this album. You young people born in 2001, you're just 22 years old in 2023. Well, Clark the Shark wants you to buy this David Bowie debut album at Spotify, Amazon, and iTunes just for the song Join the Gang. And maybe you can write a song where you make fun of today's indie and, today's shitty music. The way David Bowie was in 1967, I mean, he had more than a sense of humor. He had a sense of irony, which is something lacking in a lot of artists today and then, back in the 60s. And She's Got Medals. That's as good a David Bowie song as you're ever going to hear, you guys. Awesome. But Maid of Bond Street, all 143 of it, of course, you as a David Bowie fan out there, you know that Maid of Bond Street has got to be one of the greatest David Bowie songs ever recorded in history, baby. Once again, 3/4, 6/8. Me, Clark the Shark. I love me some 3/4, 6/8 time. That song, Maid of Bond Street, is so beautifully played. With all the accompaniment of the backing score, it's just killer. I wish The Who Sell Out had songs on it as good as Maid of Bond Street. Of course, Frank Zappa could never touch such a brilliant song. Awesome, Maid of Bond Street shouldn't have love affairs. Love it. And Please Mr. Gravedigger, again, David Bowie, you guys, 235 of brilliance, where he's letting you know the future belongs to David Bowie. And he's setting you up right there with that song. And of course, there's all these other Bowie songs from 1966 and 1967, that you gotta hear. You gotta hear all the B-sides and bonus tracks. There's these David Bowie albums released back in the 80s. Maybe 70s too, that display these early, these 1960s songs by David Bowie. And me, Clark the Shark, about 1983, when I was 18, till 85, when I was 20, I was listening to the early 1960s David Bowie as much as the later David Bowie, you guys. And I love the songs. And strangely, he lost his record deal, and I don't think there's much David Bowie, if any, recorded in 1968. We don't hear him again until 1969, when he comes back with another amazing album that I am going to review. Just an amazing album with Space Oddity and all that, where Bowie goes to the next level. But this album, 1967, don't let any critics, fans, or anyone steer you against this album. Because when you dig into this and you keep listening to it, this fucking thing is great. And you're going to discover that this is one of the best David Bowie albums. And some of these songs are some of the greatest David Bowie songs. And let me tell you, you guys, you're hearing this from Clark the Shark, from the golden EIB Sharkerphone. It's not a microphone, baby. It's a Sharkraphone. Right here on the excellence in Sharky shark casting. It ain't broadcasting. It's shark casting. Because this is Radio Shark on a pirate satellite. And I'm telling you about David Bowie's first album. And I want you to buy it. And I want you kids out there who are just 20 years old in 2023, I want you to learn how to be funny, irreverent, make jokes, man. Don't be all serious like fucking liberals. And don't be all serious like Fox News conservatives. Fuck both of them, man. You got to forge your own identity, and you got to create something new politically, comically, humorously, and everything. And you're going to learn it from this man right here, David Bowie. And I want you to listen to stuff like Frank Zappa. I want you to listen to stuff like The Who, Sell Out. And I want you to learn about having a sense of humor and being funny, but even more than that, being ironic. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, where you just got the only review of this album that you will ever want, and quite frankly, you will ever need, you guys. You just heard it from Clark the Shark. Don't listen to the other reviewers on YouTube. You know, don't listen to critics at Rolling Stone or any of that, you guys. You come to Clark the Shark, baby, while I'm still here and I'm still ticking. I'm going to live to be 100. Don't fucking worry. I'm going to be here for you forever. And I'm going to refute the bullshit reviews of albums like this. And I'm going to refute the praise of shitty bands that don't deserve the praise. And you're going to get the truth from me, Clark the Shark, because there's zero bullshit coming out of me, baby. And you're going to get all the facts, and I'm going to back it up with facts at 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. I'm Clark the Shark, and you just got the word, the testimony, the gospel. You just got the only review of David Bowie, first album, his debut album, that you will ever need. And remember, Can't Help Thinking About Me is from 1966. That killer song is before this album, where Bowie is rocking, you guys. He doesn't really rock on this album, but this album does something else. This album has a seriousness and a funniness to it and an ironic irreverence that, you know, maybe Frank Zappa and The Who don't have. Maybe nobody has, you guys. The Beatles and the Monkees don't got it, you know. Maybe the Stones are too serious for it. And maybe this album isn't why you get into David Bowie, but you got to learn this album if you want to learn about David Bowie, you guys. You got to go through the playoffs if you want the Stanley Cup. So you got to go wade into this album by David Bowie and get those other albums were the best of the 70s. Not the 70s. They're released in the 70s and 80s, where it's got all these David Bowie 1960s tracks. You got to hear them, you guys. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show. And I'm out of here. Peace.